Now, there's a common question that I get asked all the time. It's whether to put heat or cold. Personally, I much prefer to use cold. Okay. Now, the reason for this is because as a chiropractor, we're really concerned with the nerve function. Now, when the nerve is swollen, so let's say, for example, a patient misaligns the spine, or they twist their ankle, or they injure their shoulder, or they have a neck problem, for example, they can't turn. It's a lot of times it can be because the nerve is swelling up. And when we put cold compress, for example, something like this, that's moldable, it's a very effective way to try to get the swelling out of the nerve. Okay, so, and also out of the joint. If you put heat, a lot of times what can happen is the heat may feel really nice. Okay, so it may be really soothing. Let's say, for example, you have a neck pain and you can't turn very well. If you apply heat, it may be soothing, so you feel really good. So it feels very relaxed and you think that the muscles are relaxed. But a lot of times what can happen is the nerve can swell up more, especially long term. Okay, so if you continue to put heat day after day, 3 to 5 times a day, the swelling of the nerve can increase more and more. Okay, so a lot of times you may find that, yes, it may be comfortable while the heat is on, but once you take the heat off, the next day, especially in the morning, the nerve can swell and the joint can swell up even more. Okay, so I much prefer, and that's what I advise for patients, to always use cold compress, and I don't ever advise to put heat, even on a muscle. Okay, so the reason for this is that the muscle, a lot of times the muscle is sore or it's spasmic because the nerve is not working well. So we want to try to reduce the swelling of the nerve. That's really the priority for us. And so by putting cold compress, compared to someone who doesn't use cold compress, the recovery is much quicker. Okay, so it's one of the things where the more ice you do, usually the faster the recovery. That's why I really advise patients to ice, especially at the beginning of care, especially when they're in that acute or even a chronic case. When they first come in, I would much prefer that patients stick with the cold compress, okay, rather than take medication and use heat. Okay, so with a cold, what I recommend is 5 to 10 minutes at the very most, no longer than 10 minutes. If it's not tolerable, then I'll definitely suggest to put the ice pack and wrap it with a tea towel. Okay, but in terms of recovery and in terms of getting it better, I definitely much recommend to use a cold compress.